Guys, we are the Cowboys. It's fitting that we talk about the Cowboys
it's
because
Monday.
Everything's broken.
Yes.
Happy MLK Day.
In honor of.
Maybe we shouldn't be working on MLK Day.
In honor
It's a
of.
sign of.
We're working in honor of.
In honor
Like
of.
if you want to disrespect the great Reverend Doc, you can take off.
Reverend
but
Doc.
I'm going to show him proper reverence.
That's what it is.
By
He had a
talking-
dream one day
Did he?
that blacks and whites
Right.
would be able to sit right
Yeah.
at this type of
Table.
panel,
on this
table,
day.
dais,
Yeah.
and talk
In
sports.
harmony.
Yeah.
In harmony.
In harmony.
Look at us.
Look at
He
us.
had a dream that one
Look at
day
us.
that one day billionaires could continue to accumulate wealth while not really worrying about people with less and really kind of making sure they don't get any. He had that dream.
Did he have a dream about the Cowboys coaching search? That's what I want to know.
I think his dream
I think
would
the Cowboys are still dreaming about their coaching search.
yeah.
Dreams
prime.
and nightmares.
Yeah, we're having a great time. Anyway, but here's where I want to start. The NFC title game is going to be the Commanders against the Eagles. We're not doing intros today. Get over it. So, yeah, the Washington Commanders are going to play in the NFC title game for the first time since
91 season, 92 title game,
So-
91 season.
I will tell you, if you have a great sense of humor, it looks hilarious now. If you go look at the last time that every NFC team has played in the NFC title game, because it's Cowboys 1995 and then Bears 2010. The Cowboys, it has now been twice as long as anyone else in the conference since the Cowboys have seen a conference title game, and two of your division rivals are going to be playing in that game, and one of them is going to be doing it with a brand new owner, brand new head coach, brand new rookie quarterback, all of those things. And so I start the show by asking you, why are the Cowboys falling behind in the NFC East? Why do the Cowboys never get to go to where we want to go? Why?
For me, it's you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Shout
Shout out to the good bros. But for the Cowboys, you talk about all these other teams who have been to the NFC Championship game from the last time that the Cowboys have been. They've changed. They've evolved, whether that be through head coaches, front office personnel, GMs, presidents, so on and so forth. They've looked at themselves in the mirror and said, we aren't good enough. And because of that, they have made the necessary changes to combat that and try to put themselves in a better position. For the Cowboys, they looked themselves in the mirror and they just said, damn, I look good.
Is that Jerry's voice?
I guess.
Damn.
I look good.
He does not look good.
Everything's gonna be all right. You know, it's the hot dog or it's the bun. I don't know, but they're the one constant that's been with the Cowboys from Kingdom Come is
Jerry Jones.
the front office,
Mm-hmm.
and it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks. What he thought would work back in the early '90s,
Yeah.
it ain't working in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not working, and so that level of success that they had early on just hasn't been able to be, I guess, copied and pasted and put into motion in today's game and today's football. And so that's my thought on it.
Well, you know, and I think that's one misconception is that he's doing the same thing he did in the 90s. He's not. There's no Deion Sanders trades going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Herschel Walker trade when the risk they took. And
The answer might be Jerry's never been good at this. One Herschel Walker trade got you three Super
no doubt.
Bowls.
And that was before free agency and everything else. And they were the ones who wanted to put in free agency and the salary cap and everything else. But there's no Deion Sanders type all in. I'm trying to go for it. This piece is going to put us over the top. They're not doing that anymore.
What if we made Charles Haley the head coach?
The new dark horse favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, but yeah, it's crazy because the first thing when Washington qualified and beat Detroit, you know, I said the Commodores easy like Sunday morning beat Detroit. Every outlet, every tweet mentioned that the Cowboys were had the longest Super Bowl drought.
It's
now.
an insane
it's like,
stat.
I
The
know
fact
it's crazy,
that-
but
the fact that it's
everybody,
twice as long as anyone else. Twice as long.
yes, and the thing the difference in Washington, the difference in the Cowboys, they made a change in owner. They made a change in ownership structure, GM. They got a new head coach. You know, they invigorated their franchise. Cowboys have made no changes.
I think, too, there's two different paths here to this NFC Championship. We're talking not only about the Commanders, which went from a number 2 overall pick last year, got a rookie QB with a bunch of salary cap, and then went all the way to the NFC Championship. We're also talking about the Eagles here. This is now their 8th time since the Cowboys, according to RJ Ochoa, nice stat, 8th time since the Cowboys last went to the NFC Championship. The Eagles are going again. That means they've done it with Donovan McNabb. That means they've done it with Nick Foles. That means they've done it with Jalen Hurts. That means they've done it while manipulating the salary cap to go all in multiple times over and over again. They haven't feared the potential irrelevancy of pushing money off and then having to pay that check later. They've gone all in. It's worked out. And now they're playing for the NFC Championship for the 8th time.
In my Jerry Jones voice, do you like those 3 Super Bowl titles? How many Super Bowl titles they got?
They got one.
They got one. They got one.
But it was a
recent,
fun one.
More recent than you do.
More recent, for
and
sure.
they're still playing. I think you guys are all really smart. I'm really grateful for your wonderful insights. No. I just it's great to be able to ask a question and make other people answer it, because like the answer is very complicated, I think, but all of those things are yes. Right? Like to your point, there's 2 teams in the NFC title game, and when we try to pretend like, all right, this team is not still playing, and so is this one, therefore they're the ones doing it right, and what are those ones doing? When they're like, there's 100 ways to do it, but I do think the common denominator to me is in Philadelphia, it's Howie Roseman's vision. It's the general manager. They've got the guy who, and that's like, that is his job. He doesn't own 100 companies, and making sure that his oil thing is going right, and making sure how the real estate's doing, and checking on his Legends hospitality, and then pretending to also be full-time running a football team. They have the vision of a person who's great at it and has ownership that's willing to spend the actual cash dollars to let you do it in the way that you deem yourself the best chance to win a Super Bowl. And in Washington, they finally got rid of the poison of an owner that was terrible, and hired people, and then said, hey, people, we believe that you're really good at this. Do your vision. And the Cowboys' vision is whoever Jerry talked to last that day on each individual decision. Like it's, if you have to boil it down to one, that's my one. Mm-hmm. The answer is that plus you've drafted poorly lately, so you could take the lesson of draft the best player, not a position that you think you need. You've signed the wrong people early and waited the longest on the people who you should have signed early. Like they're in a perfect storm of doing everything wrong lately. Whereas normally they're fairly competent. They just have the Jerry thing. And right now it's all added up, and now it's the worst time because your entire division is going to go play. And the Cowboys are hanging out with the Giants. The Commanders and Eagles are bunkmates, and you're kind of hanging out with the Giants, and that sucks. So here we go.
Could this season have gotten any worse? I mean, the nightmare of the season, in 7-10 after all the hopes and signing Dak and CD after going 12-5, and then to watch Washington, when Jerry's the one who championed Dan Quinn 2 years ago and put Mike McCarthy into a flux. You remember when I can see Dan Quinn coaching the Cowboys, and they had to get over that, Yeah.
Well, he's a carnival barker. That's who's in charge.
And now Dan Quinn, 1 year later, is in the Super Bowl or has a chance to get to the Super Bowl. And I really think they're going to get there. I think Washington's going to win this game.
Kellen Moore's in there too.
I think the Eagles are going to win the game because we should have domes everywhere so that teams can be at their best, but we don't. And so I think the line of scrimmage team in January in Philadelphia is going to win, and I think that the bullies are the Eagles, and that the Eagles are going to win even though their quarterback's terrible. That's better than you, and they don't even have a good quarterback. Maybe the Cowboys don't either.
Well, and the quarterback thing is why the quarterback thing is why.
This is where I am right now. That's a really good NFL
quarterback. Got to catch the straight right there.
Just for the hell of it. No, I do worry about if you wanted to do sweeping things about the league. I would say right now the Eagles quarterback ran for a whatever yard touchdown and runs for lots of touchdowns and first downs. The Washington quarterback just ran for 900 yards this season and is incredibly mobile. Pat Mahomes is incredibly mobile. Josh Allen's a machine. And if Mark Andrews could catch and Lamar didn't throw a bad pick, then maybe it was Lamar Jackson's team that's still playing. I do worry that we have a quarterback who is really good, or at least his career's really good. His body might be catching up to him, and it's a mobile quarterback league, and you might not have that either anymore, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, we talk more about that later too. But
we will.
No.
All right, welcome in. It's the DLLS Cowboys Podcast.
We roll it now, baby.
Now we're cooking.
Cooking with
Please
grease.
hit the like button, especially you, Eli. Damn, Jeff talked too much. Nobody spells damn with 2 M's unless you're spelling damn it. And even then, I would probably use an N instead of an M. So I'm going to do a full speech on what's wrong with you saying I talk too much. Coming up next, there's a new favorite in the Cowboys head coaching search and why it might actually make sense on, our show.
And if you want to catch a game, it doesn't matter if it's a Super Bowl, NCAA tournament, regular season game. All of that can happen right over at Game Time. You got to go right now. Grab your phone, go to the App Store, download the Game Time app. It gives you incredible deals. All that fluff stuff, all the stuff that you had to go through other ticket sites, man, don't worry about that. At Game Time, when you log in, you see the price of the ticket, that's the price that you pay. Download the app, use our promo code DLLS, and get $20 off your first purchase. What I love about the app is the panoramic view of the seat, the view of the seat that you'll be sitting at. So when you go on and you pick your seat, they show you what angle. So you don't have any obstructed views, any bad sections, or anything like that. You know exactly where you're going to sit. You know exactly how much it's going to cost. Head over to Game Time, download the app, use the promo code DLLS, and get $20 off your first purchase. What time is it?
Game time. Oh.
Shout out to our friends at Sleeper as well, where if you use the promo code DLLS Boys after you download the Sleeper app, you get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Now, if you're doing football, you're going to be picking more or less than stats. Jaden Daniels passing yards or rushing yards or touchdowns. Jalen Hurts or A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. It won't be any Cowboy. It's Saquon more or less than his rushing yards. The more picks that you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Sleeper is tons of fun. You just can't pick the Cowboys, and that's Jerry's fault. But you can pick a lot of other NFC East people, and you can do every different sport on there. So if you are a ball knower, you can combine things all over the place. Jaden Daniels more than his rushing yards. Saquon Barkley more than his touchdowns. Luka Doncic more than the projected rebounds. You can do whatever you want. Have yourself a party with our friends on that Sleeper app. Download it. Use the code DLLS Boys, and you'll get that $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Operational in over 25 states, including Texas. Check them out. So my world kind of got rocked this morning a little bit.
In a good way or a bad
Rock.
way? Did you, because you could go a lot of different ways. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
It was in a, I don't know.
I'm talking about, you feel what I'm saying? Like, your world can get rocked in a number. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Pop.
It was in a sports way. It was rocked in a sports way.
Yeah, well, that's not as
I
enjoyable.
kind of gotten into my Cowboys coaching search groove.
Okay.
I had a feel for the names, and I was all squared away, and I checked the odds this morning. Who's the next Cowboys coach? And the co-favorite was Kellen Moore. The co-favorite with him I hadn't seen on a list before, and it was Brian Schottenheimer, former Cowboys offensive coordinator, since everybody's currently unemployed. He hadn't even interviewed with the team, and he's listed as the co-favorite for the Cowboys head coaching position. Clarence, why?
I'm going to pass it on.
Yes.
Okay.
He's a Schottenheimer whisperer.
Oh, okay. Shotty. Now, Joe is the one who
I wrote about this.
No.
yesterday.
You. Oh, yeah.
You wrote about it last
You
week.
blew my mind with a theory as
Yeah,
well. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah,
Joe.
so let's go through the
Tell
timeline
me
really
something,
quick.
Joe.
Let's go through the timeline really quick. A week ago, we found out that Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys would not be doing a reunion. So what do we do that day? We, as reporters, start texting people. Okay, what's going on? What have you heard? And I talked to one source, and I got a list of a couple names there could be interested in. And this person's pretty close with the higher-ups at the Cowboys. And they listed Robert Saleh as a potential interview. They listed Kellen Moore. And then they blew my mind and said, Brian Schottenheimer. And I said, for OC? And they said, no.
The guy who just hangs out with McCarthy?
Right.
Yeah, and they said, no, potentially head coach. And I was like, okay, so why? And they said, well, the reasons for Schottenheimer are, one, there's questions about he was the offensive coordinator the last 2 years, but Mike McCarthy was the play caller. There's questions about how much Schottenheimer was actually allowed to do and how much of his ideas were actually heard in terms of the play calling thing. Hey, would he game plan this and it would not actually go in the actual game plan? That's one of the questions there. The other thing about Schottenheimer is that he's well liked, and here's the other thing too, is he probably would be pretty cheap.
Oh no!
The Cowboys ownership. What does Jerry Jones tell us? What he might want? He might want an incentive-laden plan, right? Well, if you don't have a lot of leverage in terms of what are your options, you might get an incentive-laden plan. Go prove yourself. You want your first head coaching job? Here you go. You want to be the play caller? here you go. Another thing about potentially Brian Schottenheimer is the Cowboys ownership could have a little bit of ideas and manipulation on who joins his staff. A la Jason Witten could be on the staff.
Lord.
And if you add Jason Witten to your staff, the one question about Jason Witten is how much, or can you translate what you've done in high school to the NFL, right? How much is that learning curve? Well, why don't you go get an internship for 2 years as the assistant head coach and tight ends coach for Brian Schottenheimer? And if Schottenheimer doesn't work, then maybe Jason Witten becomes the head coach and Witten. That's one potential. The other thing, too, is for Schottenheimer, it's like, hey, here's your opportunity. Go earn your next paycheck. If it works out, great. And then you have Jason Witten and, waiting on staff, and then you had a good staff, right? Other things about this is that, the Joneses love him, but there's also no interviews you set with Brian Schottenheimer yet so far.
Yeah.
So we're talking about all this. He's the co-favorite. I reported on Thursday that there's definitely a lot of interest there. Adam Schefter reported as well. Jimmy Johnson came on Saturday and said it. There's definitely smoke here. There's real. I don't know if it would be to be the head coach or to be an offensive play caller with the likes of a defensive-minded coach. But as of right now, I would not discount this. I think this is a real potential.
So that blew my mind because this morning before when we were talking, first opinion, it's super embarrassing if you're a Cowboy fan because it's, again, just grabbing a candidate that no one else is considering as an NFL head coach and going, that might work for us because for us, our ultimate goal is to hire a guy who's not a worthy head coach because that way it'd be easier to give Jason Witten his job later. I think that's embarrassing. But it did blow my mind because that makes sense. Like Schottenheimer's name is in the mix exactly because he wouldn't be a hot name. And it would be easy to set up Witten to take his job later, and that is the most Cowboy thing I've ever heard.
In this timeline, when we're talking about Brian Schottenheimer, who will then be, I guess, ushered in Jason Witten in years to come, we're cooked. Like we are doomed. Like,
and that's literally planning for who your head coach that you really like could be the head coach in a few years and not even worrying about what's happening today. It's
right. And this is you go back to our first segment talking about how are these other teams where they are, and the Cowboys have twice as long as they've been to the NFC East championship, the NFC championship game. It's things like this. It's things like, I'm going to put a coach in now who is cheap, who I can kind of fundamentally maneuver the way that I want to,
right,
who I can set in place his predecessor on his staff, and he won't give much pushback to me for it. And then we're going to take a guy 4 years from now will be the guy who we look at, or 3 years from now and say, hey, this will be our guy, and hoping that guy is the guy that takes it. Like this can. You wonder why we are in the place that we are in. It's because of these current decisions that have futuristic outlooks to them that make absolutely no sense and does not guarantee you, or at least the perception of it, doesn't guarantee you any type of hope of a successful future. Because the now doesn't look successful. And now you're talking about this and what's in line from this. We are cooked, man.
Yeah,
we are cooked.
When I talked last week about this whole process that no coach excites me about being able to win now, it's because of the process. It's because they still have to deal with Jerry Jones. They're not changing their ways. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about Dez and Micah on the internet this weekend arguing about the culture. Mm-hmm. The culture is Jerry. The culture is Jerry.
Yeah, Dez and Micah fought on the internet.
Trying to place people on someone else's staff. The culture is nobody. Schottenheimer is epitome of nepotism in coach. I like him, great guy. I was covering high school.
Nepotism makes sense in coaching. If you grew up with it, you might have a chance to know what you're doing.
Again, but my point is he's epitome of nepotism, but no one's ever interviewed him for a head coaching job. Yeah. No one's ever tried to give him a job. He's been a failed coordinator. He came here, as an analyst because, Mike McCarthy knew his dad. He gave him a bone to come and be on the staff. They made him offensive coordinator when he started deciding to call plays, but he was not the play. He was not a decision maker. The idea that we're going to come out of the blue and justify, well, that was Mike McCarthy and, Schottenheimer, who's, again, no one's ever was trying to give him a coordinator job, let alone a head coaching job. Maybe we need to see what his ideas are. Why? Where's this coming from?
Because it'd be really easy to yank the rug on him for Jason Witten.
Again, that's the process. That's the problem. That's why it's hard to be excited about no matter who they hire, because of who's running things.
Some other tidbits on Schottenheimer. He's been in the NFL for a long time. I think a lot of people look at Schottenheimer, it's like, oh, he's a young guy. Well, he's 51 years old, been in the NFL for a long time. He's been an offensive play caller for 10 seasons. He's had 4 top 10 scoring offenses, but they've also had, look at the Jets. They went to the AFC Championship twice. They had some good defenses there. That's when Mark Sanchez been there, when they went to the AFC Championship back-to-back. The other thing, too, he has had head coaching interviews before in the past. This is before, when he was more of a hot candidate, the young up-and-coming son of Marty Schottenheimer. So not recently. To your point, he was an offensive analyst with the Cowboys before he was named OC. But I do think that if you look at Schottenheimer, he's really well-liked in the building. He's very charismatic. I think that there's a lot of things that make sense in terms of why the Joneses might like him a lot, frankly.
Yeah. Charismatic. Yes, all of that.
I'm just telling you what I've heard.
I know. No. I think it's very good information. I think it makes a lot of sense. And I told you blew my mind earlier. I think it does a great job also of illustrating everything that's wrong with this organization and how every single bit of it stems from Jerry Jones' gigantic ego. I think it's all disgusting. And I need to hear in the next day or two that they're trying to or scheduling an interview with the guys that, the rest of the league thinks should be their next head coach. Like Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn can interview now. Ben Johnson's going to pick between 3 teams that he thinks that there's a reason to go coach them that will pay him. But you're just... The fact that the priority is guys who no one else in the league is interested in having as their head coach because they'll be affordable and be a great setup so that your friend can be the coach next is so disgusting and takes all hope of just ever being a competent franchise out the window. It is disgusting.
As we go through this coaching process, it doesn't remind me, but it kind of just shines a light on all that Mike McCarthy was going through.
No doubt.
like literally,
Yeah.
you hear some of the things that we're hearing now, and we're seeing how this process is going. Mike was probably looking at this, waiting for the in line to get here, and I'll take another head coaching job if you give it to me under my terms this time. Yeah. But there's no way I'm taking anything less than to deal with this for 3 or 4 more years, because it is insane.
It's just a matter of who is the next setup.
Yeah.
That's what McCarthy, I was talking to our buddy Brian Broaddus this morning. He used the word paranoid about McCarthy the last year or two. He's like, and he's been kind of paranoid. And I'm like, well, yeah, they openly talk about how the DC would be a great head coach.
Yeah.
They gave you an offensive coordinator. Everybody's talking about Jason Witten one day. Why wouldn't you be paranoid? And it makes sense when you're unemployed to accept this. Can I get one S word? It makes sense when you're unemployed and you really want to get back in the league to accept a shitty job.
Yeah.
And so McCarthy did. And then you win a bunch of games and you're dealing with it, and you signed up for that, and that's fine. But the next guy's going to sign up for the same thing. It's a terrible situation where it's always a setup where you will not have security. You have no idea if the team's going to actively try to win or be willing to risk any part of their $10 or $20 billion, whatever the net worth is. They're not going to be willing to risk those assets to try to help you win at the game while wanting you to be held accountable to the standard of, look, if you want me to make money per game won, great. Refund every season ticket holder for every game lost. Let's play this game together. But they're not interested in it. What they want to do is they will take all profits and they will socialize every cost, and they will work just at whatever makes them the most comfortable in their day-to-day life, not at making sure that their business is successful. And it is so miserable, and I hate it so much, and I hate it so much, and I hate it so much. But man, it makes for good content.
Jeff, how many coaches coached in the last year of their deal in the NFL?
Probably not a lot.
Not a lot. It's head coaches?
No,
Rare.
not a lot.
Rare, right? The Cowboys have done it the last 3 times. Where was Mike McCarthy ranked in terms of salary in the NFL?
Probably 16th to 24th. I have no idea.
Low, right, for a team that has the most valuable thing. My point being, this is how the Cowboys operate. So if you're kind of shocked that Brian Schottenheimer could potentially be a candidate, look at who they've had recently. They've had someone familiar. They had Mike McCarthy, who got a low ball offer that had to deal with the stresses of coaching on the last year of his deal, which is not a thing. This is how they operate in terms of coaching hires. So if you want Ben Johnson, the smart, OC, you want Aaron Glenn, that makes a little bit more sense. But I don't think that's where they've proven that they want to go. I think Adam Schefter had a quote this weekend I thought was really, really good. The Cowboys are operating on their own timeline in their own universe, is what he said.
And that's them.
That's the problem.
That's them. And that, if you need an illustration of what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, one team now has a 15-year longer gap than anyone else in the NFC at getting to the title game, it's probably because 31 teams are competing a certain way, and you think that you can do it, be one of 32, doing it totally differently, and that somehow you have the better idea. You don't. You have the worst idea. You hope to God that you can draft and develop amazingly and overcome the fact that you're one of 32 that is not competing to have the best people work for you. It's insane. Coming up next, a lot of positivity. It's a Magic Marker Monday. It's an MLK Magic Marker Monday. Brian Schottenheimer jumped on the radar as a head coach candidate for the Cowboys. Who's the name you would like to throw in the hopper? You hit us with that in the chat. We got your super chats. The show rolls on the DLLS Cowboys podcast next.
If you were like me and your jaw hit the floor this morning when you heard about Brian Schottenheimer being the front runner for the Cowboys head coach, I just hope that you got your floors from Empire.
Yeah.
I really do. I do. I hope you got, because there's quality floors there at Empire. You know? I don't care if it's wood, it's vinyl, it's carpet, it's laminate, whatever it is, the quality that you're going to get at Empire is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So head over to empiretoday.com and use the promo code DLLS, and you will get $350 off any flooring that you want. And I know tax time is around the corner and your kind of money may be a little funny after the holidays. You're thinking to yourself, can I afford it? Can we really do it? Don't worry about it. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All you got to do is just head over to empiretoday.com, use the promo code, $350 in the floor, but they do it for free. You can get it from home. Everything is great. empiretoday.com.
Shout out to our friends at the East-West Shrine Bowl, which is coming to AT&T Stadium January 30th. Another thing that has nothing to do with the Cowboys that'll be awesome in Jerry's building. We do love the Shrine Bowl. Be a part of history. It's the 100th East-West Shrine Bowl at AT&T Stadium, and the Cowboys need to find about 8 starters in this game. So you should check it out. It's a college all-star game. What you're going to have is some of the best draft prospects that are going to be here for a week, and they're going to get ready, and then they're going to play the East-West Shrine Bowl right there in AT&T Stadium. And you can get hooked up on tickets. They're just $20, and if you use the code DLLS when you buy 2 or more tickets, you get 50% off. It's at shrinebowl.com to buy those tickets today. Whole bunch of NFL dudes, Hall of Famers, have played in the East-West Shrine Bowl, so there is going to be a bunch of NFL talent out there. If you're a big Cowboy fan, you're trying to find the next guys that might be on this team coming up next year. Check them out at the Shrine Bowl. It's shrinebowl.com. Use that promo code DLLS. And when you purchase 2 or more tickets, you will get 50% off. All right, it's a Magic Marker Monday, which is so hard for me to say.
Magic Marker Monday.
It's so hard for me to say because when we first started the show, I think we did one Wednesday show. And I was like, yeah, Whiteboard Wednesday. And then during the season, we don't do Wednesday shows. And I just can't make myself say Magic Marker Monday. Shotty jumped on there today. Brian Schottenheimer is one of the favorites to get the Cowboys head coaching job, according to sports books today. What name do you want to see jump on there is my question to you. And let's knock out some super chats if we could, because I know we got a bunch of them. We appreciate you guys being here. Daniel, been watching since the beginning of this startup, but I don't know who's talking without the intro. Love you, Daniel. Adrian, what's y'all's analysis on these Tennessee players, Dylan Sampson and the D-tackle? D-tackle's something a lot, isn't it? Sampson's a really good player. He could be the Cowboys starting running back next year. If you get him in the 3rd round, that would be great. They got a defensive tackle that's real weird because he played like 220 snaps this year, and I have no idea why, but the tape is really good. Very confusing. Josh is in the super chat. Great take, Jeff. I don't even know what I said, but I'll take that. The one guy that said I talk too much, bam, balance.
I think that was Eli.
Schroyd. Yeah. How many Dallas free agents signed with the Commies this spring so they can finally win a championship? Dose of utopia. Are the Jones broke boys compared to the other billionaires in the NFL? Because they sure act like it. You never know how much billionaires are liquid. They own a lot of things.
Liquid.
No idea. Got
a helicopter.
But they operate like a poverty franchise.
And a yacht.
They do have a yacht.
Bravo, Eugenia.
All right. It's not a Whiteboard Wednesday.
It's a Magic Marker
Magic
Monday.
Marker Monday.
And we're looking for who you want to see explode on the scene as a name that the Cowboys could hire as their next head coach. Jesse?
I'm gonna go because we're splashing on the scene. It's a name that's kind of been floating around, but I don't know how much of a splash. But
Splash! I was taking
a
a bath.
bath.
Joe Brady. I'm gonna go with Joe Brady.
Josh Allen's OC.
Yeah, offensive coordinator right now at the Buffalo Bills. I mean, we'll see. He got to take on Big Daddy next week. We'll see how that works out. Well, this weekend works out for him going up against Kansas City and Andy Reid. But I think Joe Brady, I think this is a name that I would not be upset about if he became the Cowboys' new head football coach.
They did a midseason thing, didn't they? Or was that last year? Like their offense
might
was
have been
kind of sputtering.
He switched to
That was
And
last
they were
year.
like,
Yeah.
go Joe.
last year.
And
Yeah.
Joe was
Was it
like,
Tim
I got you.
Rattay?
That was last year, right?
Yeah, last
Yeah,
year.
midseason
Yeah.
last
Or not
year.
Tim Rattay. So, yeah.
No,
yeah.
it was
was-
the quarterback
Yeah, it
from
was in-
Miami.
yeah.
It was
Ken Dorsey?
Ken Dorsey.
Ken Dorsey.
Went
Thank
to
you.
Cleveland,
Yeah.
got fired again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, Joe Brady. And anything that with the name Brady may bring like greatness like Tom Brady.
That's right.
That's fair.
I don't know.
That's fair.
Joe Brady for me.
No, that offense is like Buffalo's one of those teams that was supposed to fall off this year.
Yeah.
Like especially for Jerry and Steven because there's only so much pie. They ran out of pie, and they had to let like a whole bunch of dudes walk, and it was like, watch out now. Josh Allen, Joe Brady don't care.
No.
Nope.
They don't care. Kept cooking. I'd be down for that. Not as good as Brian Schottenheimer though. Clarence, what are you laughing at? Shotty might be great, but Roger Sherman from The Ringer has a great graphic that he puts out every time that his name comes up, and it's his coaching history and how awful every offense he's ever run was.
Yeah, I mean, shot.
Yeah.
Listen,
4 top 10 scoring.
I'm going with the college coach. You know, according to people out of Austin, the Cowboys did make overtures to Sark back channel overtures before he hardly signed that new extension last week.
Scoop.
Yeah, please neuter me and underpay me. This sounds great.
He signed an extension in Austin last week, but I'm going to stick with the college level. Outside the box, young Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame coach. He's a leader.
He's a beast.
Sean McVay got a job at 30, right?
Yeah.
Get you a young guy. This is about a long-term future decision. Who you want leading your franchise? Who can lead it in the right way?
He's a beast.
Marcus Freeman.
If Marcus Freeman wins tonight, it'll be insane. Like Notre Dame, if you had to rank the players in this game,
Yeah.
8 of the top 10, 9 of the top 11 are probably at Ohio State. If they win, I don't know how you just don't go, holy crap, Marcus Freeman, you're incredible.
You talked about it last week, too. He's made Notre Dame likable.
Yeah, and that's hard to do.
Yeah,
That
no
is hard
offense
to
to our
do.
not Notre Dame fans out there, but from like
No, very much offense to Notre Dame fans
No.
out there. You guys weren't very likable
Not
for a very
likable.
long time.
for a
Yeah.
long time.
Just-
Yeah.
They're
Well, in
very
the same way that to not Cowboy fans, the Cowboys aren't likable. Like
Exactly.
Notre Dame has that same thing
No,
where
they're-
it's like everybody always talks about you, but you don't really deserve it. And
Yeah.
I've never liked Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman actually makes them likable.
Yeah. Marcus Freeman would be a good hire.
Their running back's a stud, by the
Yeah,
way, but he's a sophomore.
oh yeah, he's sick.
I would like that. I wouldn't mind that.
That would be great.
Yep.
That would be lovely. Joe?
I'm thinking outside the box, Brian. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going with Josh McCown.
Noted former Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Josh McCown.
That's right.
Wasn't the Saints trying to make him a head coach like a
He's
It was
interviewing
the
for
Texans too.
Texans?
Texans
Yeah.
talked about it.
Yeah.
That's right,
So
yeah.
he's the quarterback coach of the Minnesota Vikings right now, and I think you saw what they did this year with Sam Darnold, minus the last 2 games. I think McCown, at the age of 45, he's got a lot of experience. If you look at what he did from a quarterback standpoint, he was a backup quarterback for a long time, would come in as spot starts, looked ready to go almost every single time he got called in. He's the guy that prepares well. He was a high school coach, too. He was a high school coach and then would go play for the Eagles as a backup quarterback on the weekends. Like, he was doing both.
That's
Right.
badass.
So the fact that he could do both means
That's
that he's
so fun.
versatile. I also think, too, with the Cowboys, one thing they're trying to get, or in theory should be trying to get, is someone that does kind of invigorate a locker room, a former player. I think carries a lot of value. That's why we talk about Aaron Glenn as a potential, that guy could be a really good candidate. One note on Aaron Glenn, he's having a second interview with New York and New Orleans this week. So it appears that he's kind of trimming down his list
Screw you, Joe.
already. I'm
You're a
so
jerk.
sorry.
You're a jerk.
Why?
Because you're trying to kill our dream.
You'll see.
Well, I mean,
I'm-
the Cowboys need to put in a request to interview him.
They're in their own universe
And their own timeline.
and their own timeline.
But I think Josh McCown, is a guy that you'll be talking about as a head coach very soon.
I did Aaron Glenn. I did Aaron Glenn. And I don't think it's probably not realistic because, again, the Cowboys,
My
for
bad,
whatever
dog.
reason, have decided that there are these candidates that it's just understood amongst 32 that, man, how great would it be if that's our head coach? And the Cowboys are like,
Let's go to Brian Schottenheimer.
But what's Witt up to?
Yeah.
What about Zeke? They really like Zeke.
He was the center.
They really like him. I mean, if you're going to come to grips with that the playing career is over, it might be time for Zeke to coach.
And
John Lee, linebacker.
I want somebody who has a chance at taking all of the things that I am constantly bitching about and just having a chance at turning around part of it. And I think former player who's been here, that I know he had a great interview or podium thing where it wasn't like yeah, I guess I coach defense, but like dude knows ball. Dude can lead people, and I think can maybe counteract a part of the country club, maybe.
And see, we're saying too many things that are right. And I don't think that the Joneses want to be right, because you bring in a name like Aaron Glenn, right? Everyone's clamoring for Aaron Glenn or a Ben Johnson, or name the guy that everyone is trying to get an interview for and all the teams are trying to get an interview for. Now you bring that guy in and they actually make things better. They actually change the culture. Then it's a blatant point of the finger to you and say, see, this is not about you. It's about this guy. And this guy now gets all the credit. And I think the ego part of what you were saying about the Joneses is that it's, if I say Brian Schottenheimer or Kellen Moore and they come in and for whatever reason have success, I get to pat myself on the back and say,
of course,
I'm the one that gave these guys.
100%.
I've been grooming Kellen Moore since he came out of college. I was the one that allowed him to be on this coaching staff. I was the one that gave him his first opportunity at OC and so on and so forth. And Brian Schottenheimer comes in. I was the one that gave him his first head coaching job. So all these things are happening, but it's more so of the name that no one is talking about that will give the Joneses the credibility to say, that was me, Playboy. That wasn't them. I did that. But when you have a name like Ben Johnson or have a name like Aaron Glenn, you have those names that are popular names, it's looked at as if you can't take that credit anymore. That credit now belongs to them, and everyone will clamor to them, and everyone will praise them, and everyone will lift them up and carry them off the field over their heads and saying, our Savior has finally come. And so sometimes I think about that, and I'm just like, they're just like, you know what? We'll just keep shooting this thing, throwing it at the wall, and hopefully one of these guys sticks so we can say that this was my decision.
And one more just note on Schottenheimer too. I'm not saying he's going to get the head coaching job. Like
I'm not saying that he would suck at it. No matter what we talk about with any candidate and the negativity that I might have about it, it's their process is wrong.
Yeah.
Their ability to identify candidates and what they're looking for in a candidate is wrong. I don't mean it as a negative about that coach. He might be good.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not.
Sorry.
He doesn't have an interview either. That hasn't happened. And I mean, they obviously know him pretty well, but that hasn't happened. So I mean, keep an eye out. But I do think that the potential interest in him as a head coach or an offensive coordinator with the Cowboys is legitimate.
And piggybacking on what you're saying about the process, listen, there are people say, what's wrong with Jason Witten? Jason Witten may one day be a great coach.
Might be awesome.
Might be a great coach one day. But the fact that Jerry's just anointing him because he was a great tight end, and I want him in my on my staff and gonna put him on anybody's staff, that doesn't look good for him. It's like going to Monday Night Football when no one ever thought Jason Witten. I mean, what are we doing here?
There's got to be something.
You can't just put him at the top of the food chain without going through a proper process.
It's funny. And this is better be funny. It better be funny. I got it. Yep. Absolutely. I was at the Star this weekend, and I was walking into the Ford Center, the indoor practice facility. And when you look up, it's this big old mural of Jason Witten.
Right.
I mean, just it's the shot from the Philadelphia
Eagles running without the helmet.
Without the helmet. So like you're walking in, it's like already written as you're walking into the practice facility. You know what I'm talking about,
yes,
right? Like,
yes, I know. I see it. Yeah,
and it's like, wow, could this be foreshadowing of Jason Witten walking out here as your head coach of your football team with this over top of it?
Like Mike McCarthy told you no thanks. That's where the Cowboys are.
Yeah.
Your head coach, who may not get another job,
was in the barn.
Just said,
willing to go back
good.
to the barn.
But why?
Willing to go back to the barn.
I'm good.
But why?
Because he was exhausted of the way things go here.
Right.
Because the way things go here is impossible. And when you're unemployed and you want some money, you'll take that job. when you think that you've earned something and you don't, and you're not going to get any of it, you can just leave it. And just like, I think that's very freeing and empowering. I think it's got to be very freeing to be Jerry too, because somehow, like in his mind, all of this works. Like it's got to be an incredible feeling to just do things exactly the way that you want and just not worry about the fact that the whole world is better than you at this.
Yeah.
The average fan of your team would run the team better than you do.
Yeah.
I mean, given any sort of freedom to do it, because they would just hire somebody to run a football team and you don't know how.
Yeah, really quick. I think it's telling that why Mike McCarthy left. I think it's telling. Why would they, lowball Mike McCarthy after making him go to the end of his deal?
Because he thought he would take it.
And then turn around and hire a $15 million coach in Ben Johnson. They wouldn't. So what does that tell you about this search moving forward?
And the thing about Mike McCarthy leaving the Cowboys and where they are in the coaching search, yes, they do things their own way because they have the biggest egos in the world, and ego is so dangerous and so bad. And they have those. But the reason that they're where they are in the search is because, as happens a lot, Jerry has a picture in his mind of how things are going to go. Because I'm Jerry, and I get what I want, and people do what I want. And so in his mind, Mike was going to take that offer. I can do whatever I want, because when I put this in front of you, you're going to sign it.
Diana Rossini said that too.
And now you go, oh, huh.
Yeah.
But you're not interested in the good candidates. That's awesome. Old football dude, or football dude. The team needs a coach with attitude. I think Rex Ryan would be a good fit. I would love to have some feet stuff going on with the Cowboys, so I am.
So would Justice.
My type of coach, sign me up.
Andres, good morning, fellas, from 559 Cali. Good morning.
Hope you guys are safe out there.
Where is 559, Andrew?
Fresno?
It's in Cali.
Oh, my God.
Coming up next.
Oh, my God.
I have some takeaways from some playoff football and Cowboy questions for our panel. So you stay right here. Please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. And remember that we love you. And that even though times are tough, they're not going to get any better. But we'll still be here to have fun and talk about stuff. So come on back. And now I need to tell you to sign up to be a diehard, because that's what we want you to do. If you hit the like button, if you watch, if you're subscribed to the channel, we love you for that. If you're listening in audio form later, wherever you get your audio podcast, to the DLLS Cowboys Podcast, we think that that's awesome, and we appreciate you. When you sign up to be a diehard, you're taking it to the next level. And you get all sorts of hookups. When you sign up to be a diehard, you get to see all of our premium written content, including from Joe and from Clarence and from all of your major DFW sports teams. You get an ad-free experience on the website. You get a free T-shirt when you sign up to be a diehard. You get discounts on merch. And, you get a carrying card, which I still haven't gotten. And you get a discount on events such as our Mavs watch party.
Woo! Let's go!
AllDLLS.com/events, and you will find Mavs vs. Celtics watch party, which is at Cosm. If you've never been to Cosm, it's badass. So if you go to the webpage and you're like, why isn't this a $4 ticket? The answer is because it's at Cosm, which is badass. It's like you're at the game. You're in the dome indoor, and you're sitting there, and it's like you're at the game. And we have very limited amounts of seats for this, but if you're signed up to be a diehard, when you go to alldlls.com/events, you can click on the Mavs Watch Party, put in the promo code that's there on the page for you, and if you're already a diehard, you'll get 20% off. And that's the hookup. That's the hookup when you're a diehard. So it is limited seating if you want to be a part of the watch party at Cosm. February 6th against the Celtics, 6 to 10 p.m. Go to alldlls.com/events.
One note on being a diehard. If you are a diehard, you would have known about the Schottenheimer thing before it was out there.
Why is that, Joe?
Because I wrote about it yesterday.
Joe did it.
Joe did it.
Joe did it.
Tell him something, Joe.
Just a thought. Sorry, I messed that up, by the way.
That's okay.
There you go.
We got.
He messed it up.
I messed it up.
He messed it up.
Hand up.
You two are a pair.
Accountability.
You guys get one and the same.
All right, I got to decide who's my target with each of my
target
questions having to do with the Cowboys today. Question number 1 for the panel. Joe. Does Saquon Barkley's success make you want Ashton Jeanty?
Why did you target me with this?
Because you love using Ashton Jeanty, Boise State running back.
Did you see what I tweeted when Jahmyr Gibbs was going off? I was like, Ashton Jeanty at 12 don't sound no bad right about now, huh?
And they lost to the Brian Robinson-led Washington Commanders.
But what did Jahmyr Gibbs do? It was
Went
fun.
Home.
He did go home. He might be in Cancun already, but
5 turnovers.
Went home.
What Gibbs' fault?
Went home.
But it was fun.
Jeanty ain't Gibbs.
Well, if he runs a 4.3 like Louis Riddick says he could be.
Might be better.
Well, what about Emmitt Smith? Anyways, I think at the end of the day, when we talk about Ashton Jeanty at 12, we're talking about two different paths here. We're talking about, okay, do you want to just take the best player available that is going to be talented? Because I think when at 12, Ashton Jeanty might be a top 3 player in this class. If he's there at 12, he's going to be the best player available, right? Take him. If you want to say, hey, let's build, we have a lot of holes, which the Cowboys do. There's going to be an offensive lineman that's ranked 10th versus Ashton Jeanty at 3, and we're going to go with the lesser ranked guy because that's more of a pressing need. Then go with that path. I think that
you would just be declaring, I will not use a pick this high on that position. That's what you would be declaring.
Which they've done.
The player is incredible.
Yeah.
Jesse's a hater for some reason. Ashton Jeanty's incredible.
Yeah. Is he a top 10 player in this class?
Absolutely.
Is he a top 5 player in this class?
I had to think about what those words mean to me and try to cook in positional value to my rankings. If you didn't put positional value in your rankings, I think he's an easily top 3 player. I think it's Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Ashton Jeanty. That's fair.
Top 3 player in this class.
Yeah.
As a player, as a football player.
As a player.
And you would say don't take him at 12 because of his position.
I don't think I would. I think I would be okay. I wouldn't be thrilled. I'd be thrilled to have him on my team. I would not be thrilled on using the 12th overall pick, but I'd be fine. I'd also take Kelvin Banks.
Players.
If it was Ashton Jeanty, Kelvin Banks, I would go with Kelvin Banks and just plug him in right guard and don't worry about that for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
But I like Ashton Jeanty.
Because part of it is, like, yes, the best running backs in football right now, like Derrick Henry had an incredible year behind an incredible line with Lamar next to him. He wasn't able to do the same thing in Tennessee. Saquon was wasting away with the New York Giants. No, he was great. This is the best year he's ever had, and he's 30 years old.
But not this great. Yeah. Well,
this is not the best year Derrick Henry's ever had.
It's absolutely the best year he's ever had.
It's not the most rushing yards he's ever had.
Well, no, but rushing yards is a counting stat. I'm talking about how well you did. Yards per attempt.
It's not the best year he's ever had.
Okay, yeah, they handed him the ball more times, once or twice in Tennessee. But that's not meaning you were doing better. You just got handed the ball more times.
No, the team is not doing better, but you can't say this is the best year.
This is the best year, Derrick Henry.
Okay.
But this is why it's so polarizing about the topic of taking a running back at 12, because there's just a lot of discourse on the actual value. And we talked about this earlier. Good running backs do less for good teams than good teams do for good running backs. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
So,
like Saquon, what's different with Saquon this year? Saquon hadn't changed.
He's on a really good team.
He's running behind the Eagles line.
He stayed healthy.
He's running behind the Eagles line.
But he's also stayed healthy because his issue with New York also was he was always injured. Missed a lot of games with injuries.
Derrick Henry just had his highest success rate by far. He was within 100 yards of his most rushing yards ever, and he did it with more than half a yard more per attempt. This was Derrick Henry's best year ever. Chill out, shit.
Statistically,
2,000 yards.
Statistically,
yeah, he only had 1,900. It was a real down year.
Statistically, his best year. He wasn't at his best.
Right, that's the whole point. What made it his best was Lamar and dudes.
No doubt, but he was a better player in Tennessee when he was younger.
Right, and still did better in a different spot.
Because of the players around him, no doubt. You want to put the best players around everybody. The same thing with Jeanty. You still want to put the best players around everybody.
And I want Ashton Jeanty on my team. I do. I absolutely want Ashton Jeanty on my football team. Monster stud. But does he do the most for winning at that pick? I don't know.
It's tough.
If you put him in Philly, yes. He would do what Saquon's doing. What does he do in Dallas? Don't know.
Makes Dallas better.
He does make Dallas better.
Which is the goal.
Well, yeah, but you would be picking someone else who would make Dallas better too, which is the goal. King just the other picks aren't set on fire. Well, Jesse, does the Cowboys coaching hire need to align with a single player?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
It's a great question because when you look at it, let's just break it down. Your two biggest stars on your football team, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons.
And CD.
Okay, but I still offensively it's going to be Dak.
Defensively
it's going to be It's going to be Micah. Right. One has already been paid, Dak. One is soon to be paid, Micah. They both had multiple coordinators in their time.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them at this point in time in their career wants to learn another system. So when you start looking at your head coaching candidate, who has the greater voice in the room? Are as a front office person, are you saying to yourself, to hell with either one of them thinks, and I'm going to pick who I want? Or am I leaning towards, okay, yes, the quarterback is the most important position on the team. So I want to make sure he's as comfortable as possible. We've heard the term for a long time, being Dak friendly, right? Being quarterback friendly. That will give us the greatest success. Or do you take a guy like Mike and say, hey, if he can get into a system that he's really comfortable with and can finally just unleash his full potential, could we have one of the scariest defenders in the National Football League? And so the Cowboys, are they looking at that? Mike is sitting in suites and talking for 90 minutes after games about this. You know, Dak does more of his stuff, but kind of behind closed doors. I don't know how those conversations go. But is it happening? Are they looking at one of these sides and saying,
based on the two favorites, probably, right?
No doubt.
It's Kellen and Schotty.
Kellen, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
it's Dak dudes.
it sounded a lot like Dak dudes, but we also heard some of that they really like Zim, maybe, but he's halfway in, halfway out. The Robert Saleh interview has happened, so that's considering maybe one of those sides. But I don't know.
Again, and that's the problem. You know, the focus should be hiring the best coach. Certainly, Jerry talked to us, you know, after the Washington game and talked about, yes, the coach will be aligned with our commitments, you know, because of Dak and the people we have in place. And so he alluded to the fact that I need somebody that's going to get the most out of Dak. But the focus should be the best coach that can help your football team and trust that he's going to put people in place to do that. Just think of the best coaches in the league right now, whether it's Andy Reid. Andy Reid was not hired in Kansas City for a certain offense or a certain quarterback. McVay with the Rams, he was not hired because there was a quarterback that needed him to mentor. Or you go back to Shanahan, there was not a quarterback to say we got to hire Shanahan because of this quarterback. They hired them because of their abilities as a coach, what they thought they could bring to the table as a coach. That should be the focus. But you're right. They're probably going to lean toward one of these other. And again, it's the process that frustrates me.
It's the extension of what they do for themselves, right? Jerry wants to have somebody here that I'm comfortable with. And so now he's going to extend it to his quarterback and be like, hey, who do you like? Who's your guy? Clarence, is the mobile quarterback the most important thing in today's NFL?
Aaron
Yes.
Rodgers.
I mean, I think that you look at college football. I mean, go back to the Texas game. You know, if you had a mobile quarterback, you do something different on the goal line there. But, yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing. That's the future of the game, a quarterback that can – it doesn't have to be a black guy, but it has to be a guy. I mean, that's what people –
dude.
That's what we get to. But Allen is very mobile.
Yeah,
he's
he's a
strong
monster.
as a bull. Burrow can move around and get out of sacks and stuff like that. And certainly you see what Daniels is doing. And Patrick Mahomes is not a runner, but he can run. And that's the thing that frustrates
He's kind
me.
of split down the middle. You know what I'm saying?
What?
He's like split down the middle.
Yes,
He's not black,
but he's
not
still
white.
he's
Definitely has some
nimble.
white beliefs.
But he's not he's not a statue.
Right,
And
no.
he's nimble and he can hurt you with it, and he will hurt you with his feet. And that's the thing that frustrates me about the whole Dak situation, because you go back and watch his Mississippi State tape when he was running through LSU and running through Alabama. He was a big mobile dude coming to the league. That was part of his game. Being able to be a run-pass quarterback. And they took that away, or he took that away. You could say it was the injury took that away, but that limits him. That's not who he is at the core.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what helped make him special as a rookie and a young quarterback, being able to be mobile. And I think that's something that's important for whoever you are.
He still has
quarterback.
in-pocket mobility, I still think. Not as much as he used to, but I still think he has.
He don't get away like he used to.
No.
I mean, I feel
You're
like
the reason why he was out for the year.
yeah,
bro.
you did get him knocked out for the
You
year.
got him hurt
Aaron
for
Rodgers,
that,
Kirk
so you-
Cousins.
Everything was
Kirk
working.
Cousins, Aaron Rodgers.
What quarterback can Dak outrun right now? Just Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think he could outrun Aaron Rodgers
Ooh. Have you seen old man Aaron run?
because his hamstring would let go.
Let's hit these super chats.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Captain Thunder,
I was tired when
who
he
still
commented.
thinks that Dak is really greedy and bad and all that. Michael's in the super chat, and this is Michael. You're officially my guy now. I needed some optimism. Fall behind what? Cooper Rush should have beaten Washington twice. Dak owns the East. He barely played this year. Neither Washington or Philly are beating Kansas City or Buffalo in the Super Bowl. You want to win? Chill.
You want to put chill in?
Put chill in.
Put chill in.
I needed some optimism, so I appreciate Michael today that everything is going to be fine. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. That's your worry with the Cowboys is that especially if you're not going to have a better surrounding cast than the other best teams, which right now they absolutely don't, because they've been on a bad run of drafting and who they're signing in. They don't trade, blah, 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 blah. And you don't have the quarterback who, I don't remember where I first heard it, but I love the phrasing of Like, Dak will find the answer to a question in a play. What about when there's not one? That's when Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, like, that's when you've got to do something. Like, just make a new question.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you don't have the comically big arm or the escapability or those things, and you're not going to have the best team, buckle in, y'all. This is what we got.
I need Dak doing yoga, stretching,
He does.
He's got to get the hip back. He didn't do that this year.
The hip, the legs, run and do something.
We got to go.
Get some flexibility back, man.
Thanks for stopping by. I promise you, we will not stop having fun talking about the Dallas Cowboys forever and ever because there will always be things to talk about. Thank you for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through, so be cool to everybody. We love you. Happy MLK Day. Be easy.
Eliminate the contingencies.
Or else not threat.
We all silly like the mayor.